Hi, I'm Jennifer Cortese. I'm sitting here with Dodie Gill and Chief Bob Gray. Dodie is the new Millennium President and CEO, and we have a Chief of Arlington County Fire Department with us. Tell me a little bit about where you were on 9/11.
At the time, I was director of the Internal Employee Assistance Program in Arlington for all the public employees. My staff and I are about ready to have a staff meeting, and my assistant director, Dan Fierce, came in and said, "Dodie, you got to look at this." And he brought the TV in and showed the towers. And then, and we were sort of looking at each other. And then, shortly after, of course, the Pentagon. And then I knew that that was us.
The first one was kind of like, oh yeah, well they said there's an airplane into the tower. We're like, well, let's wait to hear what's going on. And then the second page came through, and he met with the instructor, and they pulled us out and said, you know, you guys have to see this. And when we stepped out of the classroom, it was the first actual video footage of the second plane going into the second tower. We left the area of the classroom, headed towards the entrance to the police academy, got outside the door and all that. By that time we already had smoke coming down the Potomac. And then somebody had said that there was an airplane that came down on Crystal Drive, which is a little bit, it's about half a mile to a mile, depending on where you are in Crystal City from the Pentagon. So we got back in our vehicle and responded back to Arlington. For the next 14 days, we of course all were involved in extinguishment, and then set up with technical rescue teams and the other FEMA teams to do collapse shoring, rescue, body recover, things like that.
Bob and I had just finished the previous year doing 4 hours of mandatory training for every single person in the fire department. I mean, really the synchronicity of this was amazing. And so we had trained and educated everybody in the department about trauma exposure, about what happens to you physically, emotionally, etc. So we had all the relationships developed. It was just a given that we were going to be there with them. So I was dressed like a firefighter, my staff was dressed like firefighters, and so we were inside the tents on the perimeter for the whole time that Arlington was there. And we did a series of debriefings after that. But yeah, it was a life-altering experience. We got a lot of, you know, after the fact with the after-action report, we got a lot of recognition nationally for the work that we did in collaboration with the fire department. It actually, a statement, it was like winning the Oscar, a statement in the after-action report said that jurisdictions around the country would do well to emulate our model.
When it comes to post-traumatic stress disorder, what do you think is the most important thing?
There is controversy around post-traumatic stress. A lot of the work that had been done originally, my understanding is that it had been on rape victims and people of single incidents. That is not true for firefighters. The work that their exposure to trauma is cumulative, and what we have learned, that education is very powerful, and that if we educate people and let them know exactly what's going on so that their brain isn't interpreting their experience as craziness and losing it, if they understand that it's normal, that their longevity is increased, and it becomes normal to talk about. And so we, as a result, people, and we train all recruits coming in, we train everybody. And as a result, people don't wait, they don't hide it as much. Clearly there's still some, but I mean for the most part. And it's been normalized. It is not a career-ending diagnosis from our perspective.
The interesting thing is when we first started the program, we re-energized our critical incident stress management program in 1989. Mm-hmm. No, 98, I'm sorry. And then when we did that, we actually built the course that we teach all the firefighters based on the second level CISM class. It's more outcome-based, more what causes these type of reactions. So when we built the course and gave it to everybody, we called it the CISM, or stress immunization. And so we really feel lucky that we did that, because I really believe that knowledge is power with this stuff. Like Dodie said, if you know what your mind, what your body is going to do when you're exposed to really stressful things, how long it's going to do it, how to tell your family that what you're experiencing is not because of them, it's because of the bad call you had the night before, or a series of bad calls, or the fact that you were up very, very tired and then you got a bad call, then you protect your family as well. Because a lot of families will make an assumption that if you're anxious, tired, having a really bad day, you don't have the patience with the kids, that it's about them. And this is what we really teach them, and it's amazing how important and how meaningful that is.
How do you think the footage from the first responder footage of Project Rebirth will affect the fire department directly, the actual firefighters?
Well, we want it. I mean, we want to be able to extract the firefighter-specific footage and use it and integrate it into the training that we do with the recruits and with everybody in the department.
And I think an important thing there with that is everybody, I don't care how educated you are on this stuff or how prepared you are for an event of that magnitude, you have a real tendency to feel like you're the only one going through what you're going through. So this really provides a great opportunity for others to see, you know, I'm not alone.
Right.
You know, there's others that are feeling the same way. And I know that, you know, we're 8.5 years from the day, but we're still experiencing all sorts of other calls. And if you really reflect back, 8.5 years is really not that much. It really isn't. So, you know, and when Dodie speaks of resilience, it's not only resilience to get through that one big call, because the fire department environment has changed quite a bit. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of elements in it right now, since 9/11, even before then, you know, with some earlier terrorist attempts. But that's something that we never really had to think that much about. And the folks who anticipated this were really visionaries. But it's here now, and it's really hard to deal with that and large natural disasters. But you have to be able to not only get through that one, but you have to be prepared for another one too. So, and you just never know.
We have a lot to learn, but we're very grateful for what we've been able to do so far.
Thank you guys. Thanks for caring so much about what you do. We'll be back and telling you more about the people that are involved and the people that care. Thanks so much.